if you want to ensure your children choose the right careers, the right path in life, or are definitely set on a path of becoming truly financially free, carrying on everything you've done to 10x to take it that much further, you want to ensure that they have a very high baseline burn rate. Let me explain. Hey guys, welcome back to the 13th grade. Today I want to talk to you about ensuring, because we're talking about generational wealth, we want to talk about where does our wealth go beyond us, right? So you've spent an entire lifetime, you've done really great work, you've accumulated a nice amount of money, and now that money is starting to transition over to your children later on in life. Whether you do that through a trust, whether you're doing that while you're still alive by handling and paying for a lot of their stuff, whatever it is, or you do it after death, they will inherit everything that you have taken over or you've accumulated. So how do you ensure that they are successful with that particular money, and more so even before that in their own life's decisions? Okay, and this is kind of a trick of sorts into getting your kids or getting your children to end up pursuing things that ultimately other kids may not necessarily even consider because of where they are and their status in life. So remember we talked about like you shouldn't have children until you're established, and that's true. So, but imagine you're going to go in and you're doing fine, you're making good money now, and now you have children that are coming along. And I'll take my children for as a good example of that. I had my children very on later in life when I was established. I'm now 44 years old, and I have a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 4-year-old to kind of put it in perspective for you. So my last child was when I was about 40 years old, 40, 40. And so you could imagine of the income that will have as she becomes of age and hits that standpoint of, I don't know, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Now, if I spoil my kids rotten, right, is what some people will say. Oh, you're spoiling your kids rotten. You're giving them everything they want to. They will be accustomed to a certain type of lifestyle, into where a working class person will say, well, it must be nice. You're privileged. You were spoiled your entire life. You never had to work for anything. Remember when I gave the example a while back in a lesson and I said, for me, when I go purchase a pair of Dior shoes now and it's, $1,400, $1,500, I don't really think about it. It's like $5, right? Because of the cash flow and stuff we have coming in, and how pretentious that sounds and snotty that sounds, but that there's a person that's out there right now probably watching the video that says, or walks into a local gas station and they pick up a bag of Cheetos for $3. And to them, that person seems pretentious because there's someone that can't even afford that. And again, that I was that person. That's where we're getting to. But we're getting to that point with our children, okay? Because even though you provide your children a really, really great life, even though you provide them a lifestyle that is like well beyond, and of course, they're not paying for any of it. They're not paying for the 160,000 G Wagon, and they're also not paying maybe necessarily for the Honda $10,000 Honda Civic. Making your child work at McDonald's so they can buy their own car, I can assure you, doesn't necessarily make them appreciate that car anymore or give them set up to make any better financial decisions. Life experience, it doesn't. However, what I can tell you through my experience of meeting really wealthy families, being not wealthy myself, seeing the full gamut, is that children that comes from wealthy families choose different careers. They choose different schools to go to. When a child from a working class family thinks about earning for the first time, sometimes they'll be like, maybe I can go down and I can get a job at McDonald's. Or maybe I can go and try to find some side work to do. Like I can go help the neighbors, do yard work or whatever. Kids from wealthy families think about, how do I own the McDonald's, even at a very young age? And that could be a drastic thing, but you get the point. Wealthy kids choose wealthy jobs because their baseline spending in lifestyle is up here, right? Let me say it a different way. Take the guy that is been in his career for 40 years, right? He started off in college, got a good degree, and he worked from as a representative to a manager to a director to a VP to a vice president to a president. Yes, he has very, very good experience, right? And so he's got the titles. And so that should, if he lost his job at 45, should be able to get him another really good job at 45. But it's not necessarily the title that the person's seeking at the older age. They're seeking a value of money, an income. And this works for less, right? If you're working in McDonald's and you eventually become a manager, and so you're making really good money, you kind of like have to accept a job even that's at that money. So you could leave a job at McDonald's and go work at Walmart as just a regular person at Walmart, and maybe not a manager, but if you're making the same amount of money, that'll seem lateral because people see their status or their income level as the transition, right? So if I go from director to representative, or if I go from senior manager to just representative, it doesn't really matter as long as if I was making $60,000 a year, I can make another $60,000 a year. And you make that lateral move. If I get a different title, but I don't make more money, it's not as interesting. It's not as important to me. If I get more money, but it's a different title or a lesser title or seems like a lesser title, I don't really care because I'm making more money. Like a person would rather move from 60,000 to 80,000, going from a manager to a representative, so going down in title, but make $20,000 more than they would by going, okay, great. Well, I'm going to make less money, but I have the title. So I'm going to go from, whatever. You get the point. It's all about the income. The reason why it's about the income is because a person's got bills he's got to pay for, right? And so a little trick, what people will do with their children is, it kind of goes back to, I think I mentioned this in other videos, like I'm going to spoil my daughter so much and make her lifestyle so luxurious and over the top, or have her baseline spending so high that no man would ever be able to satisfy her unless they were successful, a rock, and someone that could provide. So hopefully that makes sense. If my daughter's life expenses for her to live, let's say, is $20,000 a month, she's going to never go like, and if she meets a guy and like they only make $5,000 a month, she'll be thinking like, well, you're never going to be able to afford me. Like it's never going to work out. And hopefully this is getting you really charged because it's the purpose of it, right? But I want you to think about it in actually a completely different way, and that a person that grows up in a family that is used to driving a certain type of car and living in a certain type of house, they're never going to go choose to take the job as a McDonald's manager. No, knock on McDonald's managers. If they know that that job's only going to pay them $80,000 a year when they need $600,000 a year. No, that person will go to school thinking about, how do I need to develop a company, or how do I need to do whatever it is to ensure that I can consistently make that income or above. Okay. And so one part of it, of raising my children and ensuring that they are successful, is about, yes, going, hey, you want V-Bucks, you want that next game, whatever. Let's go outside and do some yard. And I want to show you that working earns income, right? But then I also, at the exact same time, ensure that they live in an 8,000 square foot house. I will buy them both probably like old school Porsches or something really nice car that they'll drive all the way through high school. They will go they will, even today, even at their ages, wear Gucci and stuff like that or whatever. Establishing their lifestyle at a certain sort of burn rate, even though they're young, so that as they get towards college and they go, hey, I think I want to um, go to college, and I say, what kind of job? They're never going to say, oh, you know what? I think I'm just going to go major in like psychology. Because I'll be like, what job do you get from that? Well, I don't know. I could probably just, they're going to be like, no, I need to be an attorney, a doctor. I need to go to Wharton Business School. They're going to choose careers and a pathway um, continue on their current lifestyle the way that they live it. Okay. So small video, small concept, but kind of an interesting thing to think about. Whatever your burn rate is as a child, that's kind of like your expectations, right? If your burn rate is higher, those kids choose different careers and different pathways by default because they have to. So some of I kind of like a little bit of a cheat code is if you, as you establish yourself, if you can get money, it is kind of interesting to establish your children in their burn rate in like we take our kids again, like 10 countries a year, like they're accustomed to always traveling to now they're like, hey, where are we going this time? Hey, where are we going this weekend? And whatever. A little bit pretentious, a little bit snotty, a little bit spoiled, but kind of so doing it with purpose because when they then want to go to college and they say, hey, I want to go choose that, the alternative to that is my nephew, for example. Hey, what are you going to do for school? I don't know. I think I'll probably just, I don't know, maybe get a business degree. What are you going to do with that? I don't know. I don't know, maybe I'll get a job in a bank or something like that. My niece. Hey, what are you going to school? I don't know. I think I might just major in dance or something like that. Well, how much is that going to make? What are you going to do with that? Well, I don't know. I didn't really think about it. If they're thinking about, I need to make sure to maintain my lifestyle, I need to be bringing X amount of dollars, they're going to choose different careers. And that's the point.